Hello everyone, welcome back to our monthly live QA, and I think this time it'll be potentially a bit shorter than usual. We don't have a huge amount of questions, and as usual we'll showcase a few things that Jay's been working on at the end of this. So some exciting news for those of you who tune in a bit later. So...
Hi everyone.
Yeah. Sorry Jay.
No worries.
As you can tell, one of us is wearing a jumper because it's fucking freezing, and the other one is in a warm place. But
That's
yeah,
the extent of my Spanish, and I've learned in a week.
that's pretty decent. That's a good start. And with learning French, like knowing French, I think Spanish is understandable. We've had this conversation about 100 times, you and I. Anyway, let's get straight to it. And we'll try and make this pretty succinct, but feel free to ask any questions along the way, and we'll address them as usual. Cool. So our first question comes from Blaze. Blaze actually asked most of the questions today, so thank you, Blaze. And he's asking, do you recommend that we re-upload all images we've used until now into the gallery? You've said they're currently separated, but it would be great to be able to quickly reuse an entity picture. For context, this is of course a question about the galleries associated with Superboosts that we released last month and that you can use by superboosting a campaign using your 3 subscriber boosts. Jay, I'll let you take this.
Yep. So we don't recommend re-uploading all your images into gallery unless you want to. That's purely on if you have excess amount of time. Like there's no direct advantage of re-uploading images. Yeah, and regarding the second part, reusing images for entity pictures, that's planned. It will be released either at the end of this year or beginning of next year. And yeah.
Yeah,
exactly. But there'll be no automatic transfer of images from the entities to the gallery because they're separated. Because they're a feature for Superboosted. So if you have Superboosts and you use the gallery and then you unactivate your campaign, it just becomes a bit. You're no longer Superboosting your campaign. The images are still there. They're still associated with your entities, but you can no longer upload new images or select images from your gallery. So that's why there's no automatic transfer of images.
Of course, because anyway, like you don't upload pictures otherwise. You just put URLs, don't you?
Yeah.
Exactly. But there won't be any importing. Feel free to upload as much as you want, or not really.
Exactly.
Great. Let's move on to the next one. Let's see if I remember my shortcuts for the questions.
Control-Shift-N?
Yes.
Nice.
Right, once again, Blaze. At the time of writing this, Kanka's current version is 0.48. Do you have any special plans for 1.0? What does 1.0 even mean to you two? It's funny actually that this question came up because Jay and I were speaking about this independently of the question a couple of weeks ago. And I think it means different things to both of us. For me, it was more of a sort of a coming of age. You know, we've reached that certain point where we feel that Kanka has a certain level of popularity, a certain level of features as well. You know, like a certain level of development where we feel like we have earned that 1.0 tag. And so it was something that we'd initially discussed doing with, like this was 6 months ago, that we'd initially discussed doing at the same time that we were redoing the interface, sort of like a rebooting Kanka in a certain way. And that's kind of fallen off the bandwagon. I know Jay has his own opinion about this, which tends to lean towards the fact that it's not really important. But yeah, as far as I'm concerned, even if it did / it still does mean something to me to move to 1.0. I don't know if it's something we're going to do anytime soon. Perhaps it's something we do at the beginning of the year, you know, as a new year, new Kanka kind of thing. But what do you think, Jay?
Yeah, for me it's not terribly important, especially with Kanka getting frequent updates every 2 weeks on average. So yeah, it's just a number for internal consistency and finding out when something happened or when something broke. Yeah, I still remember the first versions were 0.01, 0.02, 3.4 alpha, because there was no real security. And as soon as I had backups, I went to beta, and then I think starting with 0.10, I dropped the alpha beta stuff. Because the app just gets frequent updates, and it's once or twice a year something breaks with an update, but so I still don't feel 100% confident with putting it 1.0, but otherwise it's it's not a what's the expression, something a hill to die on.
Yes.
I don't remember, but I get what you mean.
It's not something you're attached to in any particular way.
Yeah, for me it's a number, so if we go 1.xx beginning of next year, then be it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and as usual, we'd love to hear what you guys think about this, given that we kind of have two different opinions here, and honestly, I do join Jay in thinking that it's probably not the most important change or most important difference that can happen by doing this. If it's something that means a lot to a lot of people, it's a change we'd have to do. I know that at the current rate, we'd probably hit 1.0 at some point in the next half of next year. So yeah, maybe we just move, maybe we just abolish it. I mean, I hear what you're saying about the tracking, Jay, but if that's really the only purpose, then maybe, I don't know, maybe we just call them updates without going to numbers.
Well, it's also easier for the blog to find
that's true.
Release logs.
That's true.
Since we can say, 0.48 released these features, and in the blog article we explain how these new features work.
That's true, actually.
That's and it's nice for people who log on. They can see, there's been an update.
Yeah, that's true. It's probably easier to see like 48, 49, 50 rather than just updates.
Yeah, and we have on the campaign dashboard, it shows you when there's a new release for every new user. So yeah.
We'll see. Maybe new year, new Kanka. Maybe we do what we originally planned and wait for the UI to be redone. I guess we'll see. Right, let's move on to the next question. Blaze, as always. Well, not always. Again, have you considered creating achievements as a module that would enable GMs to create achievements for their players, as something that helps motivate players to use Kanka more often or more substantially? Ooh, I've just noticed there's a spelling mistake in that. Jay.
I copy paste.
Substantially. Oh, then Blaze. It's two words substantially. Short answer
He's not English native, so
I'm missing. Short answer is no. It's not really the direction we kind of gone with achievements. Achievements is already something we're just dipping a toe into. I know that it's something that Jay and I kind of want to develop further over the coming months and like really create achievements that are, I think, fun is probably what we're going to go for. Like the whole
fun for the exactly fun for the based on community feedback, what kind of achievements they'd like to see and which are doable. There's always technical limitations,
of course,
but like the code is fairly flexible, so I can add different achievements at different levels with different texts, and that's why it's currently not translated in other languages. It's currently only translated in English, the achievements page, because I'm waiting on feedback from the community to see how we can improve it or change it or make it more fun.
Yeah, it's certainly something we've ever really thought about within the scope of a GM and his own campaign, or a world builder and their world. It's not something we've ever really thought about, and I think after that there's also comes the question of how much personalization we can allow. If every GM has their own set of achievements, it might be a bit more complicated versus just perhaps having a certain number of set achievements that you can use for your campaign. So
one thing,
yes.
we might do is just notifications in the app when you unlock an achievement, so you don't have to go on the page and check. But yeah, I'm still not sure exactly how we would do that, because at the moment the stats are calculated once a day, and then saved 24 hours to avoid the servers from being spammed with many queries on the database. So yeah, notifications like, oh, you've unlocked Murderer level 2 or something.
That sounds like a good idea.
That might be something we do. Yeah.
But yeah, long story short, let's first fully implement achievements, make sure it's multi-language, make sure that everyone's happy with them, and that they're fulfilling their purpose, and then we'll then look into expanding if there's a certain demand for it.
Yes, Salvatos just wrote in the Discord, the Q&A just gave me the idea to use abilities as achievements you could put on the player characters page. Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually. I guess that's a workaround. Yeah, you can totally use abilities to put on your players.
To make your own custom achievements and yeah.
Oh, I like it. I really like it. I just...
like, spend 6 sessions without being a murder hobo.
Yeah, exactly. No, but then, we're talking about how this would allow for sort of perfect personalization, because you can really kind of do however you can do exactly what you want. You can call them what you want. You can decide what the achievement is. That's quite a neat little workaround, actually, Salvatos.
Yeah.
Cool.
Especially with charges on an ability being linked to attributes. Yeah, you could keep an attribute on a number, and then the charges would represent the level of your achievement. Yeah. Yeah.
Would we be able to customize abilities to have I don't know, maybe a certain color or image attached? Well, no, actually no. I'm thinking something different. Doesn't matter. Just to have
well, if your ability has a parent ability achievements.
No, but I was thinking a visual representation of your achievements. But I think that doesn't work with that ability's workaround. That would be something we'd have to start from scratch, as opposed to a workaround.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if we move on to the next question. Now that you have Superboosts, have you considered implementing a low-tier subscription that would only have one regular boost? For example, €2 per month for one boost, while €5 per month remains 3 boosts or 1 Superboost. Now, as a short answer, no. That's not something we're looking into. That's not something we're thinking of implementing. We did discuss at various points in time the possibility of a yearly lower tier. We didn't want to make a monthly lower tier because of payment processing fees and the added administrative burden on us for no real gain. So I think if we did do a lower tier, it would be a yearly only lower tier. But it's not really something that we've really fallen in love with. We initially, for those of you who've been with us for a while, we changed the pricing of Kanka in February last year, so nearing on a year now. And the reason we did that is that we wanted to sort of streamline as much as possible the options that our users had. Having too many different tiers led to a bit of confusion as to what bonuses were. It led to a situation where it was difficult to differentiate properly each tier, which wasn't, I don't think, good for us, or wasn't good for you guys either. And so yeah, it's not something we kind of, I don't know, it's not an idea we like. The free offering that Kanka has, I believe, is the strongest on the market. I don't think without paying you'll get anything else anywhere else, or anything as close to what you would get with Kanka. So I don't know that I fully love the idea of creating a lower tier. We do like the fact that Kanka, we are very proud of the fact that Kanka has the strongest free offering on the market. It's something that's important to us. It's part of our core philosophy that money shouldn't be the reason you can enjoy role-playing games, and so that's why we do that. And basically, Superboosts were a way for us to give more to people who weren't using the two other boosts, rather than a reason to then create a sort of a lower tier with just the one boost. We saw that most people were only using the one boost, and we wanted to reward these people, not then reward them and take something else. Because the way we function, because the way we move forward, and the way monthly votes determine how things are shaped, there are certain things that we don't want to make you guys vote on. Anything we add to Super Boosts will be added on a sort of a top-down basis, because we don't want it to create then several tiers of paying and voting, and then it makes things a bit murkier. So Super Boost is something we'll be implementing top-down. Jay and I have discussed this a few times, and so it doesn't make sense, I think, in the current philosophy to create a lower tier. If it does happen, it'll be a yearly lower tier, but I don't think either Jay or I are particularly in love with the idea. Jay, I'll let you air your thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, basically the same as you said. I also think, Kanka was built with the free tier being really good, and Boost and Super Boost are just added nice features to have that aren't important for world building and role playing games. Yeah. And so it's just a way, for us to add nice features. And pay the bills basically.
Probably not. I think is the most honest answer I can give to that. Maybe one day, but it seems unlikely. As we've said, it doesn't really fit with the philosophy and the way we've been taking Kanka forward lately.
Yeah,
but it's a good question, and it is something that we've considered a couple of times. It is something that I'm sure will come up again at various points in our conversations. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Now, if we keep moving forward, are there any plans to enable non-admin users of a campaign to have access to the gallery with the abilities to upload and view images they are allowed to see? Jay, I'll let you take it.
There are a few tickets in the backlog to allow, as a campaign admin, that you can give more control over the campaign to some of your users without making them admins. And so, for example, being able to change the dashboards, being able to change the description of the campaign, and being able to control the gallery and upload to the gallery. That's one of those features that will be implemented with this new set of permissions. Probably early next year is my guess. Either we just do it or it will be part of a community vote. So it is planned early next year, about probably. I have a bad track record with promising features, so I have to be more careful with what I say.
Whenever I ask Jay for a timeline of a feature, he gives me a number, and as a rule of thumb, it's either 2 weeks quicker or 2 weeks slower, basically. And depending on how productive we are and how productive he is, of course, there's going to be a bit of variance. But I've noticed he's not very good at giving an exact date. It's often faster, it's often slower.
I also am not someone who just can work every day 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and that's part of the nice thing of being able to work 100% on Kanka. Is also to control the times I work. So one week I'll work 60, 80 hours and build 20,000 features, like I did in the summer several times. There are some very busy weeks, and then there are calmer months like at the moment.
I'll whip him into shape. We're going to have another couple of months like this summer.
Kilaos on YouTube always double the developer estimates. That's a fair example.
Honestly, that's what I thought initially, but there are times where Jay will give me a date, and then literally 2 days later, he'll tell me 2-3 weeks, and 2 days later it's like, oh, it's 80% done. I just need another day or so. So
often in programming, it's first I have to spend a night or a couple of days just having the thought in the back of my head while doing other stuff, and then I'll map out how to build a feature, how to create the database, and that's typically something which we'll be showcasing later in the Q&A, entity nodes permissions, where it stayed in the back of my head for a week, and then I built it in a day and a half.
Yeah, inspiration comes. And I guess, like, you know, having something in the back of your mind, just your brain just works on it. Anyway.
So that was also a personalized comment on Twitch. I love when Jay says on Discord, I haven't looked into it yet, and then uploads a fix 5 minutes later.
Exactly. I'm telling you, like, it's unpredictable, because, yeah, it's just unpredictable. That's never a way of knowing if he's underestimated or overestimated.
Well, also, for fixes, a small last note on fixes, it's sometimes, because I've been working on Kanka for over 3 years now, and sometimes there are features which have been built a while ago, and I just don't remember how they work or haven't touched them in a year. And so there's a bug or a small improvement which is asked, and my initial reaction is to not over promise it will be fixed in an hour, or it will be developed in a month. And sometimes a fix or a new feature is 5 minutes, and it's done. It's yeah. That was it.
It makes my life exciting. I can never really plan ahead. If we keep moving on to the next question, we are up to Palados, who's now going to be asking the remaining questions. What tool had been, I think there's a word missing there, what tool would have been less complicated to build with the knowledge you have now? This is similar to a question we had last month, but I guess we wanted to give it
and
a
the next
go.
question is a bit similar too. But basically maps, the old map module on locations was something I built custom made, and it worked, but it was really, I'm still not sure how it really worked. The code is just, it's not as bad as calendars, but it's pretty bad. And so knowing if I would have found out about Leaflet, the plugin with the rendering engine we use now for maps, earlier I would have done directly maps like that and avoided lots of discussions and debates on the Discord server where people were asking for features and I just couldn't build some of the features which were requested, or just spend too much time developing a JavaScript library for the old maps module. So that would be nice to, from the start with Leaflet for maps. And also the API. The API was added fairly, I think, 4 or 5 months in the development of the app, and it was, I did it kind of fast, and I took shortcuts, and now some of those shortcuts are a bit of a pain for people using the API. I try and keep updating the documentation, but there are definitely things I could have built better with better tools for the API.
Yeah. I mean,
the two which come
yes,
to mind.
I don't know. I don't even really use the API. I don't know.
Shame on you.
Yeah, I'm not the best when it comes to tech. Not the best. Anyway, and if we move on to the last question, unless there's anything else you want to add, Chad?
Nope, that was it.
And if we move on to the last question, which is in the same kind of vein, and after this last question, we will be showcasing something. I don't want to spoil it. With your experience now, what would you have done in another way to create Kanka? And as Jay and I have very different sort of fields of expertise, we of course have very different answers when it comes to that. And I think for me, if I could redo Kanka, I would put a lot more emphasis and early on emphasis on everything to do with search engine optimization and mobile friendliness. I think those are two things that we've been working quite hard on improving over the last 6 months, 8 months, and it's slowly starting to bear fruit, and it's quite encouraging to see the changes and the improvements. But I think if I had to redo everything, I would start at day one, essentially. I think that's my personal answer to that question. I would start day one with like strong SEO and mobile friendliness ethics. That's probably the best way to put it. Jay?
For me, it's the way entities are structured in the database. I could have made it easier, could have avoided headaches. I think we answered this question, a similar question last time or the time before. And basically, the way the database is structured, where characters are their own table and locations and items, and they all share a common entities table, which duplicates some of the data, and I would have most of the features now that are built are directly on the entities table, and that makes it easier to like switch an entity type from a character to location. But doing it from the start, the database differently from the start would have made adding some of the features easier, and also some of the performances of the application better.
Yeah. I've just seen your message, Paldos. Don't worry about it. I blame Jay for not proofreading. I don't like to blame Jay. No, anyway. I think that's it on this one as well.
Yep.
Okay, great. So I think what we're going to do now is we're going to showcase, as usual, a couple of things that Jay's been working on, show you how it's going, and I encourage you all to ask, whether it's in YouTube, Twitch, or Discord, to ask questions that you may have, either about things that Jay's going to be showcasing or any other questions that have come up, or if you have any follow-up questions about anything we've discussed so far. So if you give me a second, I will switch to... Boom!
Okay.
Jay, take it over.
Okay. So the first thing I wanted to showcase is from this month's community vote, which had maps, more map options, specifically custom-sized pins, which was something which came frequently. And at first, I said it wasn't possible the plugin we're using. That they zoom and they keep the change size when zooming. That's not possible. But now, for those who have bigger or smaller maps, if I go and edit a map, and I'll go and add a pin here, a marker, give it a class, and here there's now a pin size field, which defaults to 40. You can leave it as is, and it will make it look like the standard ones, but we can also now start putting a custom size, which can go down to 10 and go up to 100, I think, or 1,000. No, I'll fix that. If it's with this button. I go to no, I'll do 20, a small one to show first. Let's make it green with white icon color, and save. Did I not properly save the color? 1 second. Edit, save. I know. Yeah, okay. So now you can have a small marker, and when you zoom, it's the tricky part was when you zoom to calculate that it stays, because the shape is like of a pin, so it's rotated 45 degrees in CSS. So it means the position is not exactly centered to what the rendering engine wants it to center on. So that was a lot of trial and error math. And I can do the same with a other marker. No.
Make this one bigger. I want to see it.
Yeah, I'll make it 80. Put it to go to this character. Make it blue. The icon can be yellow this time. Save. Let's see if the background color also saves or doesn't this time. Okay. So yeah, there it's now a big marker. Yeah, and you zoom out, it's still massive, and you zoom in, it's still massive, and you can also change it to in server custom icon, you can put it to go to the entity, save. And yeah. So that's it. Another thing which will be coming out with the next update is when you're in explore mode and you have the rights to edit a map. From here, you can also now add a marker directly from explore mode rather than going back each time in the edit. So if I add a marker, put it to an SVG, let's make it 60 in size, say blah blah blah, Q&A, background color orange, make it purple, or it doesn't need a color icon. And save. I think the SVG is not correct what I was using here. But yeah, so you can directly now add from the explore mode.
Nice, I like that actually. You didn't tell me you could do that, did you? No, you didn't. Pretty sure you didn't.
I told the QA team, but
not me.
Gotta keep some surprises. Yeah. That's for the updates for maps. I might still add another thing. I still need to add when you're adding a new marker from explore mode that it centers on that marker. I still need to build that feature. Might be for next week. And otherwise, if I go back to the campaign,
just for those who are expecting to see this, so it's now on QA. So we're thinking live in a week or two, if I'm not mistaken.
Next week, yeah. Yeah. So the next thing is entity notes, which was the second winner, the runner-up of this month's community vote. Where when you're an admin of a campaign, I can create a new note. So Q&A note. Text, visibility all. There's still this standard drop down, but now I can also go and add a user. I can add Alex, and Alex can now edit. I can add, for example, Jeremy, which is an admin of the campaign, and deny. So now I can control kind of who can edit an entity note. So you can see entity notes if you can see an entity, but for example, if you want to allow just a user to edit an entity note without having given that user edit on the entity, you can now do it with this way, and you can also specifically hide an entity note from other admins if you don't want to use the self and admin or admin thing or self. And for example, if you want your user to see an entity note, I could add this as admin visibility only, and then specifically say Alex, which is a standard user, to be able to just view. So this is now my new Q&A. It's admin. I go and edit. I can still go and change the Alex's permissions. And I'm only showing one screen, so I can't show. But now Alex can go on this entity and see this entity notes, even if he's not an admin. He can't edit it, except if he had edits. And if your user is not an admin but has edit on entity notes, the whole visibility and advanced permissions will be hidden. That's only for campaign admins. So your users can't add entity notes and have access to advanced permissions. That's only for campaign admins to avoid weird situations where people go crazy. Especially in big campaigns with like 200 users, only the admins can have access to this list of users to control the permissions. And it's not role-based because that became a bit too complex. So it's just based on the user directly, which was the use case which was most asked for during the past 2 years on the Discord.
Nice. Some pretty sweet stuff there.
Yeah. That was finished this morning, so now it's on QA, and I'll also go live with 040. What's Kanka's current version?
I think we're at 50.
Are you?
Going back to the earlier question of...
No, 49, we're going to 50.
Yeah. So double release soon. Entity notes and map markers. Sorry. Nice.
Exactly.
That's
nice. All there is to showcase now, unless is there anything else which I can quickly showcase? We've only been talking for 36 minutes. One last thing. When you're editing or creating a family, you can now go and edit. You can also add members to the family. Instead of having to go to a character and edit that character's family, you can now do it from here directly. And if a character already has a family, it will show you, for example, Eloine is part of the Packley family, so it will replace Packley with, in this case, the Vapost family.
So you can't have two families?
No, you can't have two families.
Cool.
Which is why I recommend using organizations for families in most cases, especially if you want characters in two families or multiple families, because just the way the characters are linked to families, it's a one-way direction.
Yeah, makes sense. I still like it. It's a good change. It'll make it, it'll make it a lot easier, actually.
Yeah, people in chat are excited for player secrets, for entity notes, so that's great.
Yeah.
And poggers, I've heard that term several times now on various Twitch streams, but I'm still unfamiliar with young people speak these days.
I think it just means like cool. Great,
sweet.
Awesome.
Radical man.
I don't know that I'm the best translator for that sort of stuff, but from my knowledge, that's what it means.
Yeah. That's it basically for 0.50, the big features, and probably slip a few more smaller ones, or maybe just release like that for 0.50 and do a 50.1 later next week or something. Small improvements.
Nice. I think that pretty much sums up everything we have for you guys this time around. I don't think there was anything else we wanted to show or discuss. I think we've covered pretty much every question. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you guys another minute or two if you have any other questions you want to ask us, while Jay and I fill with a lot of white noise and discussions about uninteresting stuff. But if you've got any final questions, feel free to ask. YouTube, Twitch, Discord, whatever. We have our eye on everything, and we'll address it. But yeah, I don't know. Well, you know what we can discuss in the meantime. Give them a couple minutes. What are we thinking if we, without spoiling too much, what are we thinking of adding to the next community vote, Jay? Putting you on the spot.
Are you still sharing my screen, or are you back on the
I am still sharing your screen, but do you want me to move back to just you and I?
Oh, no, wait, I can open another window, which isn't... let me see if I wrote anything in the backlog. No, not the backlog, the other Trello boards. Community vote December.
I'll just go back to the webcam focus, okay?
Okay, well, I found what I wrote in my initial notes.
Oh.
But one I mentioned a few months back, but I feel like we need a designer to help us with that. It was the idea of a DM screen.
Oh, yes.
Like we have, that would be fun, where you can link entities, take notes quickly. Building a DM screen to have previews of various entities. But I believe that's not something we could do without
that might have
designer.
The designer. Actually, speaking of design, we are making progress in the future design of Kanka. So hopefully by next QA we can. I don't know if we'll be able to reveal much, but we're able to like actually talk about it in a bit more detail. And fingers crossed, maybe show you something. Christmas, everything's just a bit slower at this point in time. And Corona. Yeah, it's not a good time of the year. So yeah, other than DM screen, is there anything that you're thinking we might slip onto that?
This one thing which I've been mentioning for about 3 years now is a search engine, to build a proper search engine to look in text. Which I know the technology, there's just a lot of setup and lots of trial and error. That's something I'd like to eventually do, but I don't know if it's yet so important.
Okay. I mean, we still have a few weeks to decide what's going to come up, so...
Yeah, and we'll have a talk with the elementals to see,
as always,
what they're up to.
If I look in
the backlog, we can go. There's a few questions which
I was about to say. Do you want to start with Chronix? Hyper-specialized question. Not sure how to create tables that hug the left or right of the article and then enable wraparound text of that table.
Yeah, for that you need to edit the... I'm not actually sure if Chronix is watching or not, so I'll answer in chat and in live.
Just show live, I think it might be the easiest. I think he must be watching, otherwise he wouldn't have asked the question.
Yeah, okay. So for that you need to edit the CSS, the HTML of your entity. I'm not exactly sure how to do it, but one of our CSS wizards like Salvatos could probably help you. On the table you'd put a pull right or pull left class and then give it a width. Okay, Chronix is watching, so I'll just Salvatos need your help here.
I think Salvatos is watching as well. Well, he was earlier.
Yes. Yeah. That's I need to do some trial and error. But when editing an entity, you can go into the source mode and add CSS classes or styles to your table to do exactly what you want. Because by default, tables will go to 100 width and not overflow, because there were several issues with tables which were too big, breaking the design, especially on mobile. So that's why we force tables to always be 100% width. But I've seen people post workarounds with CSS, and that doesn't require boosted campaign. That can be directly in the CSS of the table element in your entity, in your entry.
Yeah, and I think the other question that we had, so Salvatos, I'm sure will give you a hand. He knows more than we do about CSS.
Yeah, I've pinged him in Discord, so.
Yeah, he was asking on Twitch as well. And as for the other question about how we celebrate the upcoming holiday cluster, it's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know. What are you doing, Jay?
Well, I'm currently in Mexico, and I'll probably move to a beach for the end of year celebrations, just to be somewhere warm, and just get warm and sun to work on Kanka, because there's nothing worse than working when it's cold, miserable, and rainy and sad.
I don't know. Like I'm still in Switzerland, and it's cold and miserable, and I guess there are quite a few restrictions on what we can do, how many people we can see. Like everywhere, right? So I guess probably just something low key with my siblings and my mother. I would love to say that I have exciting plans, because I think at this point, after a year like the one we've had, we will need something a bit more exciting. But the reality of it is, like, we're still in a pandemic, and even if things are looking a bit better with vaccines, probably not too far off, at this point in time we're still not quite there. So hunker down, yeah, just
Yeah.
wait it out. Wait until things get better. So yeah, I think that's how we're going to celebrate the upcoming holidays. Beach and not beach. But both beach and not beach will be in isolation. Because we don't want to spread. We don't want to spread disease.
Of course.
Great. Well, I think that's pretty much everything. And I think questions have been answered. And yeah. Unless there's a last second question, but it doesn't look like it. I think we can pretty much call it. So
thanks everyone for joining.
Yeah. Let me go back to
thanks for
our lovely faces and removing this. Boom. Thank you everyone for joining us. As always, it's a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for all the cool questions. You can, as usual, start directly after the stream asking questions in the in Discord for 2021's first live stream.
Yeah. We haven't set a date yet, but at this point, you know the way we do things. It's usually around middle of the month. Yeah. So we'll have a look at and publish the exact date. But feel free to start asking your questions, and we might do a slightly longer one next time because maybe we'll just do a mini review of 2020 and what we did and what we're going to do, or we'll do two separate ones. We haven't yet decided on that one.
Kanka 2020 Rewind.
Exactly. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. We will catch you guys soon. Take care, and as always, we're available on Discord if you need us.
All right.
Great. Thank you everyone, and bye.
Bye-bye.